Ashgacha Pratis also, I'm telling the story. So just to remind you, for them, want to hear it's a beautiful story. Yismach Moishe, the founder of Satmar Sigit, Talmud of the Chayes of Lublin, author of many famous Svarim, most famously the Yismach Moishe. His name is Moshe Teitelbaum. So this, maybe if you didn't know, I'll repeat it again. It's a very brief Nakuda. He had a dream that he was taken to Gan Eden. He saw Gan Eden. What does he see in Gan Eden? That the people sitting and learning. That's the whole Gan Eden. He saw that down here too. So he heard a heavenly voice. Moishe said, "What do you think tzaddikim are in Gan Eden? Gan Eden is in tzaddikim." Now, the hamshach to this story, tzaddikim mean in every yid. The Bashgacha Prat is because Avram Shmuel Buket in Klachabad, I saw apparently in Yitzhak Refuah Shleima. So this is a story that he was privy to. He heard, he and his brother Levi Buket and from Los Angeles, and they were standing on line Lekach in the Mems, in the early Mems, and heard this exchange. So made this story they were telling me contribute to his Refuah Shleima Kraiva. So Levi Bucket, you guys must know these people are. You in Los Angeles, no? You know who he is. So they were standing on line Lekach in the early 80s, Hashanda Rabbi. And just before them was a young fella, they describe him here, from Greenwich Village, dressed in jeans and long hair. He was in front. Behind us was a middle-aged, distinguished Satmar Chassid, a Rosh Yeshiva in the Satmar Beis Medrash in Williamsburg. So they overhear the conversation as follows, both to the Rebbe, to the student, and to the Rosh Yeshiva. So this young fellow approaches the Rebbe says to him, in English, "Where are you going to be tonight for our coffees?" This is a Shana Rebbe. So he says, "I have no plans to be anywhere for our coffees, not tonight or any night." So the Rebbe says to him, "It would be my honor and great privilege if you would attend our coffees tonight with me in my shul." So he says, "Thank you," and says, "I'll think about it." And he walks and goes on. Then we got Al Lekach, and then the Satmar Chassid approaches, and we're right there. Goes quickly. This is by the Rebbe's sukkah. The small sukkah right outside in the left little garden as you walk out of 770. They say it in Yiddish word for word. These guys are, they're good. But I will say the translation. So the Rebbe says to the Satmar guy, "I see you are wondering why I'm pleading with him to come tonight to our office. I'm asking him, what do I have in common with him?" And the Rebbe said, "This is an obvious Tehillah LeMoshe." It's one of the Svarim you wrote, is Tehillah LeMoshe. And the Rebbe says, "Do you know what I'm referring to in Tehillah LeMoshe?"
One of the Svarim that the Satmar Rebbe wrote.
Yeah, he wrote three famous Svarim. One of them is Yismach Moshe and Tehillah LeMoshe. So the Rebbe says, "You know what I'm referring to? He's one of your Rebbes. He's the founder, again, of the Satmar dynasty." The Satmar Chassid says, "No, it wasn't familiar." So the Rebbe says, and I actually have a photocopy of it. Now just read the translation. The Rebbe says to him, he writes in the Sefer Tehillah LeMoshe, it's a commentary on Tillim. The Rebbe says he mainly wrote 3 Svarim. He's famous for the Yismach Moshe, but he wrote 3 Svarim, Meishiv Moshe. There's all plays on words, which is Halacha. Yismach Moshe is on Torah, and Tehillah Moshe on Tillim. And the Rebbe is kind of refreshing his memory. He was a student of the Chayze, and after of the Rebbe of Prezhmil, and years later he became a Rebbe in Uzheheli in Hungary, which is how I'm telling you the story, because that's how he was described in the story I told you on Friday from Rabbi Twersky. So the Rebbe continues talking to the Satmar Chassid. He writes a wondrous thing and with great elaboration. The father of Michal of Zlotchever, his father, Rabbi Itzikol of Drobich, then Rebbe adds in brackets. Rabbi Michal himself was an ardent admirer of the Baal Shem Tov, and afterwards became a student of the Maggid. Now back to his father. Rabbi Michel's father, Rabbi Yitzchak, and Rashi met in the heavenly worlds above. He's writing this as Nagdam. And Rashi asks to Rabbi Yitzchak, the father of Rabbi Michel's Lotchever, what merit does your son Rabbi Michel have that because of him all the heavenly worlds above are astir? Heaven is in tumult of what your son is doing down there. What's he doing? So Rabbi Yitzchak says to Rashi about his son Rabbi Michel's Lotchever, the famous thing in Michel's Lotchever's name. He says, my son learns Basmod. So Rashi says, but there are many that learn Basmod with great diligence. Rabbi Yitzchak says, my son fasts and he torments himself. Rashi says there are many that do that. Rabbi Yitzchak says to Rashi, he gives huge amount of stock in chesed, he gives to the poor. Rashi says there are many that do the same. So Rabbi Yitzchak said, finally to Rashi, my son Rabbi Michel makes many Bali Tshuva in the world. And Rabbi Mehishiv Ma'oven, many return from sin because of him. Rashi heard this, he says, now I understand. Now he understands why the whole heavens are astir with the Avodah of Rabbi Michel of Zlotchev. So the Rebbe concluded his remarks. Did you understand? The Rebbe said this whole thing to him, I'm telling you. You had verstanden, you understood. And the Satmar Rosh Hashiva, in great reverence and respect, thanked the Rebbe for his thoughts. And says to him, Rebbe, ich hab gut verstanden. Rebbe understood very well. The Rebbe wishes him a good Yom Tov and a good Kvittel, which is the custom on Ishana Rabbah. The PS to the story is, in the early hours of the morning after Hakafas Shmini Atzeres in the Rebbe Shul, while the dancing and excitement was still going on, I met up, this I guess is Levi Bucket, met up with this young fella. He actually did stay and stayed for Hakafas, and that's where the story concludes.